Kids today on long car rides, they got it made. They can watch any movie or television show at their fingertips, or play almost any game there is. But for us kids growing up in the 70s, 80s, we had a hard time trying to figure out what we could do to entertain ourselves in the car. Let's look at 10 things we did. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. Here we go, noon video now. Don't forget, 3 videos a day. Noon, 5 for a short video, quickie, and then at 8, the regular video. And to let you know, starting next week, the 5 o'clock video will head over to the second channel, the Junkman Plus channel. Links in the description below. Or you can just type in youtube.com/thatjunkmanlive. And there you get live clips, short videos, hunting for toy videos, and lots more. So let's not waste any more time. We're going to talk today about things we did in car rides to entertain ourselves, because like I said at the beginning of this video, kids have it made today. They got iPads. They can hear any album, any song they want to hear. God, can you imagine doing that? I had to bring a Walkman and cassette tapes with me. But I was going to look at stuff that we did in the car to entertain us on the way. And one thing that came to my mind first I had to talk about was Willy. I think that was his name. Willy. Remember Willy? My mom would always say, Junk kid's being quiet back there. And my dad was, oh, he's playing with his Willy. This was a bald-headed man, and it's used some kind of magnet dust stuff, and you would give him hair and a beard. It was fun. Now, a lot of times you have to wait to get on the interstate. You didn't want to play with this on a bumpy road like some of these other toys. You had to pick your time to play with this, but it would be entertaining. Now, thinking back and looking at this thing today, I'm thinking, it doesn't look that fun. Look, I get bored with it in 2 or 3 minutes. But somehow I would play with this thing for hours. And although when you think about it, you think of the bald-headed man, you give him a beard and hair or whatever, there was different ones you would always find in stores time to time. So that was always fun. And then there's a toy I talked about here recently, I talk about it again, is Drive Yourself Crazy. This was a little plastic handheld, I don't know if you call it a game or not. It had a little steering wheel on it. It had a little plastic car that you only can move like this, left to right. It did have a speed thing, can make it go slow or fast, but it was basically just a piece of paper on like a treadmill, and it would just feed over and over again. It would be a overhead view of the street, and you have like cars in the way, and you had dodge cars, dodge bushes, stay on the road. I don't think it actually knew when you were off the road or anything. It wasn't really high tech. Now I do remember having that, but then in probably the 80s, mid 80s, I had one that was like it, but it was electronic. And actually I just thought about that now, so I'm going to look for a picture. I only know what it's called. Maybe I can find that. Another one I had was a marble game. I talked about this in a short video last week because I couldn't remember what this was, and I would ask on social media all the time, what was this marble game? It was a flat maze about the size of a notebook, and it had like a BB inside, and you had to get it through the maze. And I found out just like a couple weeks ago, Tommy made this toy. There's 3 different ones. I had 2 of them, and God, I love this thing, and it was a lot of fun to play with on the car. And I love to find one of these today. I did find one on eBay, but somebody was asking $85 for them. Crazy. And then we had one that I know my sister had. She used to bring in the car a lot, and I would play it also. And this was, I don't know the technical name for it. It was like a water hoop game. You just press one button, and the air would shoot up these hoops, and you had to land them on the hooks, which again is a lot of fun, unless it's, you're behind schedule and your dad's driving and going fast and hitting every bump on the road, and you're like, oh, I just missed my last red one. Thanks, Dad. Don't blame me. Blame the city for not filling in these potholes, But it was a lot of fun. Anybody remember that? I'm sure most people had. It was a very popular toy back then. And now it's kind of Star Wars related. Yeah. We couldn't bring all our Star Wars figures with us in the car, so you mostly just grab what you could or something to be fun. And one thing I always went to for fun was a land speeder and 2 figures. That way you could hold it easy. You could put 2 figures in it. Now, of course, you could maybe get a Jawa on the back seat or something, but you could get 2 standard figures in the front and passenger side of the land speeder. Have them in the car to play with. It was a lot of fun. And then by the time Jedi came out, it was always the speeder bike. I always grab a speeder bike, at least one person to put on the speeder bike, and then one other figure just stick in my hand. Like I said, you couldn't bring AT-ATs with you and Death Star playsets, but you could bring something small like a land speeder or the speeder bike. And one I didn't have personally. I knew a lot of people that had it. It was a game that they played a lot on the school bus, and I thought I had to put it on this list. It was electronic football. Now they did a lot of other ones, electronic baseball, some other games, but this was like the iconic handheld toy of the early 80s. If you didn't have this, I guarantee you know someone who had this. I never had it. I used to play. My friend Mike had one. I was never really good at it. I could never really figure it out, but man, people love this. And I remember my friend was like, man, it looks just like a real a football game. I can't tell the difference. Oh my God, the graphics are amazing. I never really felt why the graphics were so amazing, but at the time we really thought video game technology was amazing, that it couldn't look any better than it does. And look at it today. And there's no way I can do this video without talking about invisible ink quiz books. Oh God, I love these. I usually would pick them up like at Stuckey's on the way. Remember Stuckey's? Oh, what a great place. Stop and get a pecan log, maybe a new grape, maybe a goo cluster, and an invisible ink pad. They always had like a hangman inside you could play with it. I remember something was like battleships. I remember that. I remember what you had little squares and battleships on it. I think you would color in. A bee came up, maybe it was a bomb or something. Had these dots and mazes. It was awesome. There's no way I can't imagine going on a road trip as a kid not having these invisible ink pad games. And I don't remember playing anywhere else. I don't remember ever having them at home or anything. I just remember them on road trips. We probably, I guess, threw them away when the road trip was over. And if you didn't put that top back on that pen, that ink pen, it was like a sponge in. That thing would dry up so fast, man. You had to make sure that top was on it, because you sit it down for a second, eat your goo, that thing's going to be dried out. And another one, I don't really remember this being a toy I took in the car, but I know some of you probably did, and that's Etch-a-Sketch. This was a little pad that we could draw on. Two little, everybody knows what, I ain't going to explain what Etch-a-Sketch is. Everybody knows what it is. I could never really draw with this thing. All I could do was draw stairs and squares. I would draw staircases and stairs. That's about all I could do. I had a friend that could draw almost anything. It was amazing. But it was always a go-to. I could see where it would be fun in the car. Again, I had one. I don't actually remember it being something I carried in the car, but I talked to some of you guys on social media, and you said it was one that you would take on trips with, just to add it here. And there was another little book pad you had to bring with you on a long road trip, and that was Mad Libs. Oh, that was fun. It was even fun kind of to play by yourself. Not as fun if you had somebody play with you. And I don't know how fun it was if you played it with me, because they would say, okay, junk kid, give me an adjective. And I'm like, what's an adjective? And they had to explain it again. Okay, give me a plural noun. I'll be like, what's a noun? They'll tell me what a noun is. I'll say, well, what's a plural noun? Then they'll tell me what, and then they'll be like, okay, give me a verb. Like, what's a verb? And they're like, we just told you last game what a verb was. Well, tell me again. And I knew I just needed a constant reminder. I remember playing by myself. I had to flip back and look. Oh yeah, okay. Like I was old enough to know what they were, just trying to remember which is which, or especially when, summertime, or hell, probably even now, I hadn't thought about those words in so long. It takes me a minute to go, okay, what is adjective? Oh yeah. But Mad Libs was a must-have. And I kind of touched on this at the beginning of the video, but got to bring it up, especially when you're a little older on a road trip, was a Walkman. It was awesome to have your cassette tapes. Your dad, your parents controlled the radio. You never really could hear it, or you never was on music you wanted to listen to. It's always good to put your headphones in, had your own music, your mixtape, or your own tapes that you bought. It was awesome. It was escaping to your own world and made that time travel by real fast. It was great. Not like today where you can just listen to any album you want to at your fingertips, which kind of makes it not as much fun. It's like, oh, I've heard this album 60 times this week already. So it's always great to have a Walkman. And these last two are more in a book style. Now, I wasn't really one to read, never really been a fan of reading, but I did bring these two books when I went on road trips to read. I guess this was not really reading, it's an activity book. Sometimes they're mixed in with coloring books. I never liked the color in the car. It always made me feel, gave my stomach willies whenever I did that. But I did like the activity book. It had mazes and crossword puzzles, and there was all kinds you could get. Ghostbusters, Rambo, all kinds. If it was a popular item, it was an activity book you could find of it. And the other book was a must-have. Really, for me, I don't know if I can count this as for the car. I can remember reading these in hotel rooms. You know, so we're on a long trip, stop at a hotel room, done everything we're going to do, just relaxing. And that's choose your own adventure books. Who didn't love that? Now, most of the ones I had were Indiana Jones related. That's right, Indiana Jones choose your own adventure book, but they made a bunch of others. But man, I loved choose your own adventure. Sometimes I would troll the book and it'd be like, if you want to jump the cliff, turn to page 17. And I would turn to page 18. It wouldn't even tell. It would be like turn to page 17 or 20, and I would turn to page 9 just to troll the book. I was a weird kid. Or it would say, if you want to do this, go to 17, and I would say in my mind, okay, I want to do that, but then I would go to the other page or read them both and try to figure out which page I want to do. Well, they were a lot of fun. I love the Choose Your Adventure books, but that's about it. That's what I took on road trips, or what I know people took on road trips. I'm curious what you guys back in the 70s and 80s, what you took on road trips to make the time pass by, because you get back in the seat, especially if you're the third child, that means you get the middle, that means you get the hump. The older siblings, they get the window. If you're like me, the baby in the family, you know what I mean when I say you get the hump on a long road trip. And the hump wasn't all bad, but well, it would have been nice to sit by the window, that's for sure. Well, let me know what you had as a kid to make the time go a little faster on road trips. And until the next video, thumbs here, like my content, subscribe to the channel. Talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.